Good morning, everyone. This is Tim and Julie Harris. This is the Harris Real Estate University Superstar Interview. Now, what is the Superstar Interview? It's an opportunity for you to learn from some of the industry's, frankly, brightest minds and best leaders, people that are successful in this market. Oftentimes they're successful because of this market. Other Fridays, what we'll do is we'll interview a famous author. We'll interview somebody who we feel is going to be of great influence to you. And then, of course, on the odd Friday, Julie and I will just choose to spend the time with you presenting information that we know will, frankly, motivate you and get you guys into action. So today we have a very special guest, someone who's, frankly, very special, very dear and near to Julie and I's hearts, Miss Monica Reynolds. Some of you know who Monica is, and if you don't, you should. Frankly, in our opinions, she's one of the top, I would say, 5 real estate coaches in the nation. She's truly a special person, an extremely bright person, and despite the old picture from, I'm guessing, 1986,
oh my God,
that I could
that's
find
hilarious.
of her on the blog, she's a very, very lovely lady. So, Monica, without any further delay, welcome to the call.
Hey, thank you, Tim. I'm happy to be with you guys. You guys have put together a great education webinar, and all these different things that you guys do on your website is absolutely amazing. You guys are absolutely an information-based, how to do it right now kind of a company, aren't you?
Yeah, that's kind of where our focus is, and that's actually the reason I wanted you to be our superstar today, because I think, frankly, as far as how to be successful in all kinds of different markets, you know, Monica, I don't think anyone would argue with me. In the country, you're probably going to be the one that's going to be most able to help agents adapt to, you know, maybe an old mindset into a new mindset. You've certainly had to deal with that on a personal level. You've had to deal with that on a professional level. But before we get into those details, let's give them a little bit of background on you. Julian, I couldn't remember. Are you from North or South Dakota?
Well, I'm really from Texas. However, I did do my beginnings of real estate, and I spent a lot of time in Fargo, North Dakota. So I started out as a real estate agent there. And it was out when dinosaurs were walking around in 1979, when you had to open a lockbox by pouring a can of heat, which some of you won't even know what that is, in order to open the lockbox because it was frozen shut. And so that's when and there was no cell phones, there were no fax machines. We had, if you wanted to know what was on MLS, you had to drive over there and get a photocopy of it.
Fun times.
It was exciting. I liked it a lot then, too.
So you sold real estate for a while. You were involved, but, you know, let them know about some of the books you've written and things of that. Just kind of get them caught up so they can get an idea of basically your background.
From there, I went to Long Beach, and I partnered up with an individual, and we sold 200 houses in the late 80s and early 90s, and we had just this huge machine. And at the time, no one had assistants, and I had my first assistant in 1981, and the broker said that if my assistant was sitting at my desk, I couldn't come into the office because there wasn't room. Can you believe that one? This is how archaic this stuff is. So I evolved into hiring assistants, partnered up with an individual, like I said, in Long Beach. We did a lot of business, a lot of short sales in the early 90s. We had to switch gears and start doing those. And one of the things that evolved from that was that no one was hiring teams and assistants, and we had a buyer team at the time and buyer agent team, and no one had even heard of those things. And so we kind of pioneered a lot of that. And I kind of give credit to myself and my partner on pioneering the transaction fee. We were the first ones to come up with that one, too. And we thought, well, why not? Everybody else, let's see, we do things differently. We have all this team of services. And so I think we pioneered a lot of different things. But that was a really big education. When you start in real estate, when the interest rates were 17.5%, and then you have a little bit of a boom market, and then all of a sudden you're into short sales. You get within a 8-year period or 10-year period. I had a lot to learn fast.
So really, I mean, you were one of the first, I think, agents in the country and you're talking about before it became really kind of trendy, the whole team thing, because I think it started out as something that only top producers were doing really back in the early, maybe mid-90s. It became real popular, I think.
Yeah, I was doing it in the 80s, and it became a little bit popular in the 90s. Most brokers didn't allow it. Most people perceived it as you can't deliver good customer service. You dilute your services. And I was a proponent of, gosh, they're going to finally get service because I can't do everything.
That's right.
And so that's how that evolved.
people read Gary Keller's book, the great book he wrote, and Gary is 100% transparent about where he got his information. Just turn to page 4 or whatever it is, and you'll see a bunch of top producing agents that helped Gary with the content for his book, where he describes the different levels of building a team and the rest of it. It all started with a few bright minds around the country, guys, and Monica is acknowledged as being one of them, to help agents realize the importance of really taking themselves not necessarily out of the sales role, but remembering that they're also business owners and they're entrepreneurs. And doing as such, you need to actually treat your business like a business, something we certainly are proponents of at HREU. So from there, you wrote some books, right?
Right. I wrote 2 books, believe it or not, with that dumb picture that's still on these books is still available on Amazon.com. But the material, which is so interesting to me, is still absolutely, it's timeless. It's basically how to hire and what you should have your first assistant do, et cetera. So it's interesting to me that I think I wrote the book in 1994, that obviously, they would have made a correction by now or had me do another one, and we keep talking about it, but they say, well, it's still pertinent, so it's still there.
So you worked for a while. You coached realtors. Now you're in, I think for 10 years full time you've coached realtors, something like that?
No, 15 years I coached full time. I did 55,000 coaching calls is what the organization felt that I did. I thought it was more when you add up all the assistant training calls. No one's trained more assistants than me probably in the country. Thank you. I love that. And 55,000 is what they had recorded.
I don't know whether or not I should be impressed or feel sorry for you.
I'm excited about it, and then I think, how did I do that?
Exactly. I know how, Monica, a half hour at a time.
Just one step at a time, exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
So you lived in Vegas for a while, and now you're living in San Diego, and you're working with Chris Heller, correct?
Right, that is correct.
So talk about that transition. You went from coaching top-producing agents full-time, and now you're running one of the nation's leading real estate teams as Chris spends a majority of his time working directly with Keller Williams.
Yeah,
what's that transition been like?
Well, Chris and I go back 20 years. When he was in his 20s, and I was a lot younger myself, this is, when he was first in real estate, he used to come to our office in Long Beach and absolutely absorb everything we were doing. He duplicated everything. And then the last 5 or 6 years, I've been coaching him one-on-one. And as he was making his transition, he said, there's only one person in the country that I know that could just step into my business, and I don't have to worry about it, and he can go off and do the things that he needs to do with Keller Williams. And I said, well, who's that? And he goes, that'd be you. And I go, oh, sure. I said, I haven't sold real estate, and, other than my own deals, I said, I haven't been on the streets in a long time. And so the long and the short of it, we talked about it, and I made the decision, and I thought, why not? I mean, I set up his office basically for the last 6-7 years. I helped hire the people. I helped with all the systems. And it was so fun, Tim, when I walked in and I go, wow, that looks familiar. That's my listing file. Oh, that's my listing checklist. Oh, that's my system. I mean, it was just great. I mean, it was everything that I've always had agents do was right there in motion. I mean, it was fantastic. And plus, I had coached everyone on his team, every single person.
I know they were really
wonderful.
I know they were really excited about the prospect of you sort of filling Chris's shoes at least 3/4 of the way.
Yeah.
And I wonder how they feel now that you've been there for a while.
You'd have to ask them, but nobody quit, so I guess that's a testament, right? We did have one casualty, but that wasn't because of me. But basically everybody's still intact, so that's good. And business is rolling, and my role is that I go on listings, I run the office, I train the new agents. I mean, so I'm it. I'm the deal. So it's great. But Chris, to his credit, has such a great system that I stepped right in. Which here's the interesting thing, Tim, about everything about that. Being off the streets for the last 15 years, I literally, day 2, went on a listing presentation, and I nailed it. And it was no problem, and I've been nailing it ever since. It's just like, the scripts, I know the objection handlers. Kind of like I looked at the first guy, and I went, wow, you're my new role play partner. Okay, here's what I say to that, So as long as you know the scripts, as long as you know your presentation, as long as you're confident, I mean, I'm super confident. There's nothing anybody can say to me that I can't handle.
Well, it had to feel, actually, in a lot of ways, Monica, it had to feel really great to
that it worked.
Take off the headset. Yeah, exactly. And get out there and, I know there's nothing more empowering. There's nothing more empowering than knowing you have skills. Actually, which leads nicely to the next question. So, literally, the tens of thousands of coaching calls you've done, you've coached many of the nation's top producing agents. What are the three qualities, if there's only three, if there's two, if there's 10, whatever comes to mind, that these agents have that others could learn?
Well, number one is you have to be a great delegator. If I could delegate, everything in my life, I would delegate it. And Chris he's masterful at that, the way he delegates down to me. And then I delegate down from there. But it's, you have to be willing to delegate. And what happens to most agents, Tim, and I know you see this on your great coaching calls, is that they get in their own way because they're control monsters. And by being a control monster, you lose income, you lose customer service, you lose the ability to grow to the next level. There's only so many hours in the day. And if you work 15, 16, 20 hours a day, you're not going to be productive. You're going to be tired, you're going to be worn out, and you're still missing. You're not the best you can be. So you have to delegate and do the things you're the best at. I'm the best at going on listing presentations. I'm the best at closing a deal. I'm the best at getting the signature. I am not good at paperwork. And I don't want to learn stuff on the computer. That's not going to make me any money. And I'm not going to stare at that damn thing. I delegate to have people go look stuff up for me. I'm not going to get involved in that. Does that make sense?
It does. Well, let me ask you a question, because that's really a great point with regards to agents being control monsters and sort of getting in their own ways. What would be, what would an outward sign of agents being control monsters, to use your term, what would that be? So if an agent's listening right now and they're saying, I'm not a control monster, how could we help them realize that maybe that they are? What are the behaviors that they'd look for?
Watch this. So this is point one, being a great delegator. When I come back with my listing file, I throw it on the assistant. I place it on the assistant's, the listing manager or listing coordinator. I put it on there, and I give them a 5-minute dissertation about who these clients are, their personality styles, what the motivation is, and all of this is kind of written down a little bit of what I was making notes on. I go over it. Then I walk away. I don't check what it looks like on the website. I don't check to see what else is done. I'm not involved in the price reduction. That's already set up. I'm not involved in, just to show you what we delegate, I'm not involved in the negotiations. That's all done by our transaction manager. Most agents would never give that stuff up.
So let me jump in here, everyone. This is Tim and Julie Harris. This is the Harris Real Estate University Superstar Interview. If you have any questions, please enter your questions into the box on the webinar screen. And today's superstar is Monica Reynolds. So as far as you're saying basically an agent to determine whether or not they're a control freak, because a lot of them are, you're right. What would be maybe a more personal, you're saying like this is how you delegate. What would be a reason why an agent wouldn't want to delegate?
Because they're afraid. There's 2 or 3 classic reasons. Somebody's not going to do it as good as I am because I'm so great. So that's ego-based. Would you agree, Tim?
Absolutely.
Okay. The second thing is that by the time I tell you how to do it, I can do it myself. And that's another ego-based thing again, because you're too good to take 5 minutes to teach someone how to do it. You'd rather just control it, which ultimately leads you from not doing another extra deal or calling somebody back who really does need some help about, I want to list my property, I want to sell something, or I want to buy something. And then I think the third one, when you look at it, is that it's just a fear of loss. And absolutely what happens is that you are losing. By having that fear of loss of the control, you're losing more in the big picture. If you learn to delegate, for example, if you hire your first assistant, you want to delegate all paperwork. You want to delegate all incoming phone calls. Have them pre-qualify the seller that's calling in if you're not there. Have them pre-qualify the buyer if they're not there. Should they be licensed? Absolutely. So that's another subject. Well, we won't go there. But, you got to learn to delegate that. When I'm going on an appointment, I delegate the fact that my assistant is scripted, and she calls ahead saying, I just want to let you know Monica's excited. She's on her way to the appointment, and, just to verify that all the decision makers will be there. Thanks for the opportunity.
I think probably your second reason why they don't delegate, there's, analytical sorts wouldn't want to delegate because that would take away their busy work, which would leave them to do, with only the hard things that they've been procrastinating doing, actual prospecting and lead generation.
Yeah, that's a really good point, too, is that if they look busy and act busy, they can stay in overwhelm all the time, and then they don't have to do what really causes the business to grow in the things that they want to avoid. So it's what I call creative avoidance, which You can write down creative avoidance, and then you can write down minus dollar signs all over the page. It just costs you so much money.
That's right. And, if you just come to the interesting thing, Monica, and I know, this is something that is one of the wonderful things about being a coach, is when you've pointed this out to someone, usually not the first time, usually it takes like 10 or 20 times, all the ways they're creatively avoiding. Once they realize it, there's almost like a switch that gets permanently flipped in their heads. And even if they still behave and act in that behavior, they at least know consciously they're doing it. The thing that many of you who are listening don't realize is that you're acting in ways unconsciously. You're just doing it because it's a pattern. You think you're supposed to go to that realtor tour every Wednesday. You think you're supposed to spend 14,000 hours making an open house flyer, or it's okay to spend 5 hours doing a BPO, whereas the reality of it is you are taking more time. What's the old saying, Monica? The task, Julie is good at this one, the task will take the exact amount of time you've allocated for it, something along those lines?
Sure, yeah, because you just want to procrastinate. But here's a good analogy, too, Tim. This is what I use on like a coaching call, and I'll say, okay, when you get on an airplane, do you ever see the pilot jump out of the cockpit and then go down to the ramp and start loading the luggage and then putting the fuel in, and then all of a sudden he'll serve you a drink before he takes off? Do you see him doing that?
Exactly. No.
Do we expect that? No. You go to the doctor's office, there's all the preliminary things that they do. They're not answering the phone, by the way, at the doctor's office. They have people that do that. They're not checking your blood pressure. They have people that do that. They walk in, they've got their file, and boom. And that's exactly what I want to do. I want to walk into a listing presentation, have my file, everything's in order, and I go to work. I'm the person that has to bring back the bacon. I'm the person that has to bring back the business. And if you're not focused on listings right now, you're going to have a big challenge because you've got to have those listings. Even though it's a buyer's market, you still have to have those listings to create sanity.
When should an agent add their first assistant? We're talking a lot about delegation. We're talking a lot about systems. We're talking a lot about treating your business like a business. When should an agent decide to add their first, assistant? What role should that assistant play?
In the old days, Tim, I used to say get your first assistant when you're at, 20 to 30 transactions because it's really difficult to go past that. Now I say, do everything you can to start with an assistant. And I know some of you will just roll your eyes on this, but let me ask you this question, Tim. Like, for example, if I was coaching you and I said, so, Tim, if you were to pay an assistant, let's just say an average cost of $12 an hour, and you had that person come in for 20 hours a week, that would be $320 a week, right? Mm-hmm. And a monthly would be, $1,280 for the month. And what is your average commission, Tim?
$6,000.
Okay, so you're going to make an investment of $1,280, and you're going to have approximately at least, 80 hours of paperwork and answering the phone and computer work that you don't have to do. I will guarantee you, if you will follow instructions and make outgoing phone calls and prospect and call your past clients and call expires and go door knock FSBOs, you will absolutely do at least 2 to 4 extra deals in those 80 hours. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so the 2 deals, let's say, then, it's your average commission, and you look at what you're paying out, that's pretty darn good profit, I'd say, right?
Well, so just to kind of make this full circle, this goes back to, well, why wouldn't you want to do this? And it goes back to the 3 or 4 reasons that Monica and I came up with a second ago. And guys, I know a lot of you are listening to this call right now, and you're feeling a little overwhelmed. So let me just take this back a notch, just so you can kind of not allow yourself to feel overwhelmed anymore. Take in the information and understand if you don't feel it applies to you immediately, it will apply to you sooner than you think. And to Monica's point, maybe it should apply to you immediately. If you can't fathom affording $1,300 a month to pay an assistant, I get it. It makes sense. There's lots of other things you can delegate, frankly, that are going to be free via technology. You can have your voicemail set up a different way. There's lots of other little things you can do right now that are consuming time. But really, before you jump on this path, all of you who are listening now and on replay, I want you to really take a hard look at what you're actually doing with your time, how you're actually spending your time. Before you think you have a bunch of stuff to do and you need to delegate it, you really need to take a hard look at whether or not you should even be spending your time doing those things in the first place, because it gets back to wasting time. Monica, I can feel you're about to say something.
Or start with something like 10 hours, 2 hours a day. Start with maybe getting a part-time. Here's an idea that doesn't cost you any money. contact one of the local colleges and get an intern. They don't cost any money. They want to come and learn real estate. They're excellent on the computer. We used to get a couple of interns from the high school, a couple of interns from the college, and they didn't cost us anything. We taught them, and they taught us about the computer and stuff it could do as far as the web and everything. So you have to think outside the box. Who can I have help me? How can I do this without costing any money? That's the key thing, and that's a real critical thing.
Given all the agents that you've coached, right, and I know that I'd say probably a majority of the agents you've coached have already been well on their way, but what would you say to an agent that came up to you today, kissed your Pope ring and bowed to you at the appropriate
Okay, good. I'll give the information, yeah.
That's right. That's right. And said, so how long will it take me to be a top producer? I mean, realistically, not doing anything extraordinary, just an average person with an average ability to learn, with an average level of motivation. And let's say, Monica, in their mind, a top producer would be, say, 50 units a year. Realistically, how long in a market like this would it take an agent to get to that level, in your opinion?
I know agents who have done it in 1 year, seriously, and I've coached them, and I know I know people who have done that, and it wasn't because it was a red-hot market. It's just because they had a very precise plan where they prospected 4 hours a day and door-knocked 2 hours a day the first 6 months of their business. It depends on, it's an attitude. It's, one of the other qualities of these top producers is thinking big, and a lot of agents just don't think big enough. I wouldn't hire an agent who doesn't, as a brand new agent, have at least the thought process of closing one deal per month. You got to get that first 25 under your belt, and then pretty much, and I'm sure you'd agree, Tim, once you can do 25 deals, then it's a matter of just perfecting and duplicating and perfecting and duplicating and perfecting and duplicating up till you get to, 50, 75, et cetera. But you got to get that first 25 under your belt. Does that make sense to you too, Tim?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, by the way, guys, you notice when Monica says something, she always spins it around and asks the question. That's a sales skill. I mean, she's doing that. Yeah, exactly. But so when you hear Monica communicating, I'm just going to point this out. She just does this without actually even thinking about it, but she'll say something, but then she'll ask a question. And the reason that she's doing that is because the person asking the question is the person in control. So when you're communicating with, potential clients, listen to what Monica's doing and follow her speech pattern and emulate it. It's not that difficult. Wouldn't you agree, Monica?
I do, and you do agree that I do take the control back when I do that, right?
I do agree, Monica, and you know what? Of all the people in the world that could take control, I'm more than happy to let you have control, my dear. No worries.
No, but, I wanted to mention another point because I think your question was so well taken about being a top producer. One of the things that I think is so missed is that you get your real estate license and all of a sudden you think you're a realtor. And, that's when studying starts. I mean, I've been in real estate for 31, going on 32 years. I am still studying. I am still learning. I can't delegate that off to anybody. I have to do that physically. And I love every part of that. And you have to know that you have to know your scripts. You have to know the objection handlers. And the number one thing, if you don't know objection handlers, you can't close deals. So if you wanted one thing as a new agent on how to go back into what we were just talking about, how to be a great agent and get deals done, you got to know the objection handlers. You got to know when somebody says, I want to think it over, what's the objection handler? When somebody says, well, I want to see more houses, we've seen 30, I want to see 30 more, you got to know how to handle them. You can't just go wing it and let them be in control. So you got to study the skills of selling. You got to be a craftsman at the skills of selling. And then it becomes more and more natural for you. It's just like I wasn't selling real estate for 15 years. I jumped right in, went on the first listing appointment with Chris. He goes, okay, you got it. I'm out. You're done. I'm not going on anymore. And that was it because I had studied it so hard and done it so much that I could just spit it out.
Scripts. You keep on saying scripts and objection handlers, really the basis of any successful business, not just a sales business. You go to a doctor, they're using scripts. You
Absolutely.
Watch President Obama, you better believe he's using a script. So, Monica, why is it that agents resist learning scripts and objection handlers? I mean, you've heard all the excuses before.
Ego.
That's something.
Ego.
Okay.
Ego.
There you go. Well,
it's not my style. Oh, is your style not
Exactly.
to make any money? It's not my style. Is your style not to do, 50 transactions a year? What's great, anyone listening to these calls, you obviously are wanting to learn. And you just have to take the time to practice. Whether you stand up in the shower and read it in the morning, your scripts over and over and over again, but you got to internalize them. They got to just come out of you like they're natural. And the people, it's the analyticals that are going to look at the script and go, well, that's not my style, Tim. I can't do it that way. I want to change it like this. Why change them? They work.
Well, the thing with the people don't understand, unless they've been in coaching for a while, what we mean by ego. I think that's a little bit too of an obtuse thing to throw out there. Though I understand, obviously, what you're talking about. But the reality of it is when she's saying ego, guys, it's just there's something internal and something inside of you that is making you resist wanting to learn scripts. So think about it from a different perspective. It is your professional obligation to know how to help that client, especially in a market like this, guys. You have to know what to say and how to say it. So, I went to the doctor last week, and I know every question I asked the doctor, he had a scripted answer. And it was, he wasn't particularly great at delivering his answers to my questions, but he gave me the answers to the questions. And he said, this is this is that, this is the other thing. Now, had I gone in there, get this, guys, just think about this from a practical perspective, especially as Monica pointed out, the analytical sorts, because on the flip side, the analyticals are the best once they actually learn their scripts, then they're completely and totally, focused. But had I gone in there and the doctor didn't know what to say, didn't have his scripts down, and was winging it, he knew maybe from medical school there was a way to properly answer the question, but it wasn't his style. So he was going to put his own little personality spin on it, and as a result of that, I wouldn't have had necessarily a professional experience. Just learn the basics of any type of sales skill, and then build from that. If you find after you've learned the basics that if you want to tweak it a little bit, but you've got to learn the basics first. And guys, here's a little secret for you. In real estate, there really aren't that many scripts, you're always going to hear the same objection handle, right? I mean, what are the ones you're always going to hear?
There's 5 objections that you're going to hear on any listing or presentation. There's 4 or 5 on any buyer, and that's it. So learn the answers.
And you can, here it is. This is a thing that some of you will absolutely positively not like, but you can write down the questions and the answers in front of you and have them on a piece of paper, and don't worry about it if the buyer or seller actually sees the fact that you're using a script. They'll respect the fact that you came prepared for their appointment so that you can do your best job answering their questions. And if they happen to see...
I didn't mean to run over you, Tim. I was just laughing. My favorite is when you write down 10 most asked questions by a seller in today's market. 1, will you lower your commission? 2, should I interview more than one agent for the job of selling my home? So give them a moment and say, why don't you read these while I walk around? I'm sure they'll make sense, and I'll be right back while I take a look at your home.
And that works.
It works totally.
That's right. So
and then if they ask you again, you go, well, that's question number 1. Let's read it together, because you obviously can't read. No, just kidding. You can't say that.
No, well, maybe they can't.
Maybe not.
That's right. So agents who are succeeding now, Monica, I mean, we talked about a lot of different things. What is it that they're doing now? What is it they're doing that the other agents aren't? Because it does seem, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there does seem to be like a new breed almost of agents who are succeeding now, and others that were succeeding before that have just sort of, for whatever reason, they stopped producing. So what is it the agents now, what qualities do you think that they have?
I'll just go from my personal experience here, and one is we diversify. We take a lot of different price ranges. I'll be at a $300,000. Now, in our market, $300,000 is kind of a lower end. Some of you are rolling your eyes, I know, on that. And then I'll be the next, 2 hours later, I'll be at a $3-4 million property. So we're diversified. We don't just single out. I think we'd starve if we did everything over $2 million or something in this market. So we're diversified. Second thing is that we're not afraid to drive, 30 to 40 minutes out of our area, so to speak. So we handle all of San Diego County. We just don't say, gosh, we do Carlsbad and Del Mar. No, I'm in Alpine, places people have never heard, Ramona. I mean, these are rural places in San Diego. I'm out to Imperial Beach, which is right on the border, of Mexico. So we go everywhere. It's not uncommon for me to get in the car and drive one way 45 minutes to an hour. Why am I going? 1, qualified seller. 2, ready to sign a listing. I'm not going to drive out there unless I've really qualified them strongly. So I guess, 2 of the answers would be being diversified and expanding your market. And then the other thing, too, I think, goes along with a lot of things I think you guys do, is that we do short sales, and, we have a really strong short sale department. And what's happened just since January, Tim, we turned from maybe 70%, 75% traditional to 25% short sale. We're now 50-50, and that's just happened since January.
Well, just wait, Monica, another 36, or I say probably 3 months to 4 months, and it's even going to be more short sales than it is anything else.
I'm going on every traditional. I go on at least one short sale, and you know what? They're pretty. What I like about them, one, the people are willing to do whatever it takes to get out of this challenge. They're easy to work with. You have your systems in place, so we love them. We're good with it.
Monica, forgive me for putting my coaching hat on here, you shouldn't have to go on short sale listing presentations. For the most part, you can do those over the phone.
Yes, most of the cases. However, when I have an exception.
You need to work on your skills.
I know. However, sometimes it's good when I've got a couple of other things going around. There's differences. But we do have a short sale manager. Most of them come in here, but some we do go out for just different reasons, like really, really good old clients of Chris's. We have to sometimes just play the game a little bit. But whatever, it doesn't matter. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I'm looking at the questions, and someone actually brought up something that I think is really worth talking about. How important is a schedule? An actual something that agents do, I have to explain to them what a schedule is because a lot of them haven't had schedules forever. But talk about a schedule.
Well, that's the worst thing about being a real estate agent. We're independent contractors, and if you don't want to roll out of bed till 10, you don't have to. You're not going to get fired, which is absolutely horrific as far as being a great producer and providing for your family. You have to treat this as a job, and so the question would be, would you hire yourself the way you act? Would you pay yourself the amount of money that you're paying? Would you hire someone just like you and pay him that amount of money? Most of us would say, oh, gosh, no, not a chance. So the question lies that when we hire a newer team member, the first thing we talk about is schedule, and then we have them write it out. It's posted, and we expect everyone, no matter what, if you're out till 8 or 9 o'clock at night with a client or whatever you're doing that night, didn't matter, don't need to tell me about it. We expect everyone in the office at 8:30. We run our office like a big business, and we do a lot of business here because we are business people. We're not flying by the seat of our pants. And then from 8:30 to 11:30, everybody's on the phones. If you were to come to our office, we have a bank of phones, and everybody is standing up like phone booths all the way across, and we're dialing the phone. Then from 11:30 to 12:30, they can do admin, and then 12:30 to 1:30, they go to lunch, and then from, depending on where they are, 1:30 is your first appointment, 3:30, 5:30, or they go out and preview property. Then they come back in the office from 4 to 6 and make more calls until they have the appointments that they need in the afternoon.
Well, so you just said something. It's a schedule, but it's not just a schedule that has no goals. It's a schedule that is specifically designed around accomplishing a very set number of, in your example, listing appointments per day, correct? Is that what I just heard?
Yeah, buyer appointments, listing appointments, et cetera. Yeah, they've got to set appointments. There's just three things to focus on in your world. Set an appointment, okay? Go on an appointment, write a contract. What else is there to do? Other than prospect obviously gets you to those things, but you set an appointment, go on an appointment, write a contract.
It is interesting how simple this business is, and yet agents spend so much time and are so confused. And frankly, the next question is about being overwhelmed, but they're so overwhelmed by all the different people and things that are trying to pull them different directions. We don't need to talk.
Answer the question. Did you set an appointment today? If not, why not? Then change it. Make something happen.
Exactly. That's basically the basis of a business. You have to be actually in the action, in the motion of making money. So we do hear a lot of agents who say that they're feeling overwhelmed. There's so many changes that are happening with short sales and REOs and BPOs and traditional sales. And you mentioned going on listing appointments with these traditional sellers. And I'm sure, Monica, that many of these traditional sellers are just basically a breath away from being short sale sellers. So with agents out there, agents that have been in the business for a while who are dealing with all these stress and emotions and they're feeling overwhelmed, what advice do you have for them on how they can kind of get their heads screwed on straight?
On how to be unoverwhelmed, so to speak?
If that's possible, yeah.
Here's the only thing that I've ever said to anyone, and I occasionally have to do this to myself. I just say, get off the merry-go-round, okay? So what the merry-go-round is when the world is spinning and you feel like it's just revving up and you're about ready to fly off of it anyway. and you've got so many things hurling at you. One is real estate is not a perfect world. You're never going to get everything done, so just get that over with. What you should get done every day is to set an appointment. The second thing is make sure you return all your phone calls. And then to stop the world spinning, sometimes you just have to cut yourself a little slack and say, okay, I'm taking a 3-hour lunch, or I'm going to take the afternoon off and just regroup, go home, put my feet up, go to the beach, clear my head, go for a drive, just get away from it. That little mini vacation of 3 to 4 hours or an afternoon where you just stop the world. You just stop the world, and then you take off. And it sounds like, oh, how can you ever do that? Sometimes you have to do that or you're going to blow up. But if you follow your schedule, Tim, usually you won't get into that situation.
Oh, that's a very good point, and that really kind of gets. See how everything ties together on this call, guys. So this is something again. We hear this, though. It's interesting, Monica. We are hearing this less and less. There seemed to be during the bubble. There seemed to be a lot of focus on why you're out of balance and sort of a lot of things that were out there. I know my reaction is the exact same way, but a lot of things that were out there that were making agents who are otherwise successful and emotionally stable feel unsuccessfully and unemotionally stable because they, for some reason, couldn't obtain this mythical balance.
Right. Okay. So here's what I have a sign on my wall. It says, "Profit equals balance" with a big X, red X through it. Profit equals balance. There's no way. I've never been balanced in my whole life. I don't expect anyone that is a top producer to be balanced. I expect them to take time off appropriately see their family, behave themselves. But there's no such word as balance because we're in real estate and it's very unpredictable and unpredictable clients. But can you create a schedule? Can you tell your clients that you have a message that says, if this call is after 5 o'clock, your call will be returned the next business day? Yeah. Can you set expectations? Yes. But there's no such thing as balance and profit. And anyone who does have balance has very little profit as far as I'm concerned. Am I wrong?
Well, see how she ended with the question again, guys. Monica, Tim is the interviewer. You are the interviewee.
Okay, got it. Okay.
You are the guest. No problem.
Okay.
No,
this is all very entertaining for me to listen to.
Yes, I know. But the fact, Monica, there are different categories of life, and there are different parts of your times in your life when different things are going to get more priority. So, for example, if spiritually or physically or financially or family, there's the 5 different equities of life.
Sure, I've got the 5
right.
F's: faith, family, fun, fitness, and finance. And I always start out with every single year having a really good idea what I'm going to do. However, if you go back to another question to dovetail all this again, how do you do 50 transactions? You're going to be out of balance. And then when you get out of balance, you got to get off the merry-go-round and go take care of what got out of balance. So maybe it was your family or whatever, but It's just going to happen. It's what happens.
Well, I'm going to challenge you on this. I'm going to challenge you on this because you know what agents are out there thinking, right? They're thinking, well, if I focus all my energy on, or a majority of my best energies on making money and building my business, I'm going to have to sacrifice my family, or I'm going to have to sacrifice other things that are important to me. Well, what do you mean no? You just told me that, well, why not?
Well, because I don't take any night appointments. My last appointment's at 5 o'clock, so I have a quality of life after 6:30.
It's going back to the schedule.
I have a
setting
schedule.
Boundaries.
I have a schedule,
exactly.
And I don't take Saturday and Sunday appointments. Imagine that.
Monica, what you're making me think of is like if you were to take the average agent in the country and you were to ask them the question, well, how many hours did you quote-unquote work last week? They'd all say some ridiculous number. And then you'd say, well, how many hours did you spend doing these specific activities, ones that lead directly to making money? And then, the first number they'd come up with would be an exaggeration. Then you got them to be honest, and then they'd say like 5. Then the next question always is fun to ask is, well, why didn't you just work 5 hours last week? What were you doing with the rest of your time?
Yeah.
Guys, it's so true. This is such a simple, beautiful, incredible business to be involved in for so many different reasons. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Make it really simple, though, too, Tim, is that, if you have a schedule, you're in control and you don't get off the merry-go-round doesn't start spinning. So if I was talking to you as a seller, I'd say, Tim, great. I look forward to meeting with you tomorrow. I've got a 3 o'clock opening, or 5 would be available. Oh, I need to see you at 7:30. Oh, gosh, Tim, I'm sorry. I'm completely booked tonight and tomorrow night also. So can you get home from work a little earlier? We'll make it 5. I mean, I'm in control of the time. No one's going to tell me the time. And some of you are thinking, well, how do you do that? Because you set the expectation. Instead of saying, when would you like to get together? I say, here's what I have open. You don't tell your doctor, Tim, when you went in last week, I'd like to come in at 10:30. They're not going to let you do that. They're going to say, okay, we'll see you in 6 weeks.
Well, there's a certain irony with that, too, with regards to what you're saying. In this market, owners want someone who's going to take control because they perceive that they have a problem, which many of them do, and they want somebody who's going to be strong. They want somebody who's going to take control. They want somebody that they know will resolve their problem, not some sort of wet noodly trying to be your best friend type agent, which may have worked back in the day, back in the bubble, but doesn't work now. So being aggressive and taking control and being, here's the word, professional, that actually is what the market demands right now. So it's kind of interesting how all this stuff does seem to fit like hand to glove. So the next question I wrote down for you, Monica, and this is kind of out of order, but I think it's still important. So there are a lot of agents that sort of waited and procrastinated and delayed learning what this new market required, right? So forever, and there's still agents out there that refuse, I don't do short sales. Well, 60% of your market short sales, that must mean you just don't sell real estate. But what is it about some of these agents that try to stay so attached to old ways of doing things? Why is it that they do it? Why is it that they have that adhesion to the old ways of thinking?
It's the fear. Sometimes it's a fear of success. It's a fear of something new. But the bottom line is they have an extraordinary fear of change. And you have to embrace change, and you have to know that change is a good thing. Change gets you to the next level. And most people have fear of change, and they want to try and control it. It's like I've heard some of the dumbest things sometimes where people say, well, I would never take a house that low. That's just going to devastate that market over there. I can't believe what you guys did over there. And they, it's like, I don't control the market. That's what the buyer was willing to pay, and the seller was willing to accept it. We can't control these kind of things, but you'll have agents who want to get so stuck in trying to control the prices. It's like, to be a great agent right now, you have to be empathetic, and obviously I talk with a really harsh tonality sometimes when I'm doing these kind of calls because there's so much information to get, I get a little excited. However, when I'm talking to a seller, my tonality is totally different. I bring it completely down like I am right now, and I'm empathetic, I'm sympathetic. I go through what they think the market is doing. I agree with them. And if I disagree and I say, and here's what we've learned, and here's what we've studied and figured out, I'm very, very calm and collected when I'm talking to them, and I make sure that I'm coming in as the resource. I'm the answer to help them. And if you don't change with what's happening in the market and you're not in tune with the interest rates and what's happening with the lenders and what's happening with your statistics, we study our statistics every day. We know exactly how many homes came on the market. We know exactly how long it's going to take to sell a home. And we're really in tune to that. And we are critical about the price. And we're not afraid to walk away if they have unrealistic expectations.
That's really the bottom line. Again, what I'm hearing you say, Monica, it's not just knowing your scripts, but it's being versatile in how you deliver your scripts. So what does versatility mean, and how important is that for an agent to be versatile?
Well, I go back to, and I know there's a DISC test, and I know all about that, but I go back to amiable, expressive, analytical, and driver. And when I'm asking the seller, for example, going on a listing presentation, I say, describe your home to me. I know by their answers what kind of personality style they are. And then if I have an opportunity, I will talk to their wife and figure that out because they're usually two different styles. And then so I go into that presentation. If I know I'm going into someone who's a doctor, attorney, or whatever, he's a math teacher, I got to have all the stats, and I got to have a CMA that's killer and everything that's known to man on that information because they're going to want it. An analytical can't make a decision until they have all the facts and figures. And an amiable, you can't scare them too much about the market because you'll paralyze them. And an expressive, you want to be energetic about their home. And a driver, you better get to the point and be a business person and ask for the order. If you don't ask for the order, they're going to shoot you.
Well, so asking for the order, what does that mean?
Well,
and how do you ask
for
the order?
Sign the contract. I can get your home sold. Sign right here.
All right, so if it's somebody who is maybe more amiable, and the amiable sorts, guys, for those of you who aren't schooled in this, it basically means it's somebody that's going to take longer to make a decision, doesn't like direct pressure, somebody who's going to be a lot softer in their approach, more warm and friendly, sort of the visual would be like a big, friendly golden retriever. So are you equally as direct with those folks as you are with, say, for example, the drivers who love directness? So how would you go ahead?
Amiable, I'd say, gosh, Tim, the great news is I think you can see tonight that I can sell your home for absolutely top dollar. So all we have to simply do right now to help you get your home sold is sign the contract. Sign right here.
That's right. Exactly.
Now I've got head nods and I'm smiling as I'm doing it.
Right. And so, but again, it's you following the script, the same words, the same approach, the same system, the same order, but she's changing the nature and how she delivers the message to, depending on who she's delivering it to. And this goes back again to an education thing. You have to be able to, A, know what your personality style is, B, realize that not everyone is your same personality style, so you have to learn to be versatile. There's that word again. And then C, of course, you have to be able to learn how to recognize others' personality style. Agents out there who try to treat everyone, Julie and I were just talking about this yesterday, agents who think that the only way to be is a driver, some hardcore, hard-nosed, do it my way or hit the highway. Go ahead, Julie.
I'm sorry. That's just one of those things that you see a lot, and I think, it's okay to be a driver, but the people who run into the most trouble are non-versatile drivers.
Right.
Where it's their way or the highway, they're not tuned in. A lot of these short sale sellers, this is a pretty stressful thing for them.
Oh, you got to go in there so soft because they are devastated. They're emotionally beat up.
Well, and Monica, you're naturally on the driver's side.
Yeah, but I'm a great actress. I'm Meryl Streep. I mean,
you are.
I get Academy Award when I leave a house sometimes because I'm sensitive to what they're doing, and moving is one of the most. There's 4 things in life. One is, obviously the death of a loved one, speaking in front of a lot of people, and then the other one is moving. And moving is extremely stressful, whether it's a good thing or not a good thing. It's very stressful. In most cases, I'm going out 90% of the time. It's not a good thing they're moving. And so you got to be adaptable to that. And I can't come in as a driver. They'll shoot me. They'll get paralyzed. They will not be. They need to have someone be empathetic and not beat them up. They've already been beat up by lenders and God knows who else. Their place of employment, whatever. They've been beat up.
So, Monica, we've had a lot of comments. We have a lot of Monica Reynolds fans who are doing shout-outs, and I think Julie's going to acknowledge their saying hello to you here in a second. But, Julie, before we get to your questions, I know you're ready to go. Monica, a quick question, and then we're going to get to the questions. And, guys, if you haven't entered your questions in, please enter them into the webinar. It's right there, that box, enter question here, and that shows up on Julie and my screen simultaneously. Lead generation, Monica. I know Chris Heller does, obviously, a lot of different things, primarily prospecting-based. I know that you had exposure, obviously helping a lot of different agents do lead generation. Lead generation-wise, what do you see that's working now? What is working now?
I'm going to get shot, but I'm going to tell you what our basis is. It's the past clients and center of influence. We do a lot of things with calls and emails to them that are information-based. The second thing is we go after expireds and FSBOs. We go door knock them. And then, believe it or not, I hate even saying this but it works. We're doing open houses. But we're doing them very productively. We're calling around them before we go out. We're putting them up on 5 different websites from Craigslist and everything with pictures. I mean, we're driving the traffic there, and we're picking up good buyers every weekend. We can't afford not to do it when you go. I mean, right now the buyers are roaming around. We got to be open.
So we're getting a lot of questions, and Julie's IMing me. Julie, let me ask her one more question. You get to the questions. Julie, try to ask the questions. They're going to because we have a lot of I don't know, what do we have, about 80, 90 questions? Ask the questions, Jules, that are going to be the most applicable to the number of people we have on the call, opposed to specific ones, right?
I'm with you.
Okay, good. So a lot of people asking specific script questions, which I think would take too much time, given the time that we have left. So, Monica, I'm curious, in your opinion, what are the biggest challenges? What are the biggest changes, coming to the real estate that will surprise everyone in the next, say, for example, 12 months? I'm going to assume that this is something you've been exposed to because you've been out in the field again. What do you think is going to surprise people the most as far as the change that agents need to be prepared for?
This is such the information age, and our information keeps doubling and tripling every year. Before it didn't grow, the information didn't grow so fast, and now it is. It's the technology. I think more and more, we're taking our laptop in, and I think more and more we're going to have presentations just online. Maybe they'll call in for a webinar and just do a presentation online, and we hook everybody up by Skype and not even go see the house. You just got to be thinking about how to be more and more efficient. I think that the younger buyers coming into the market are very, very technology-based, and so I don't know exactly what it is. I'm 62 now, and I'm just trying to stay up with what I can right now, but I think that part is going to be phenomenal for efficiency, phenomenal for finding qualified buyers. I think the affiliates are going to start working with us a lot more in trading leads and that sort of thing. I think everybody's going to start helping each other a little bit more because it's going to get tougher and tougher, and everybody's got to help each other. Do you agree with some of that too?
No, well, to your point, Monica, there's we have this sort of time gap here between like the oldest of the baby boomers' kids buying, right, their entry-level first-time buyer, and then their parents who are sort of retiring, who are sort of downsizing. So we're going to have, there's really no question if you look at the demographics that there's going to be could even be 10 years between before there's any real, I would say, surge in home buying. And
for example, there's an example here. One of our younger buyer agents saw a house, went in there, took pictures on her iPhone, and sent them to the buyer. The buyer left at lunch, came over and bought the house. Now, that's unheard of, isn't it? Who thinks like that? I don't, but because I'm old, but I'm trying to. Wasn't
You're not
that great?
That old, Monica.
I know,
but
wasn't that great? Wasn't that just great how that works so quickly?
Well, a lot of people are doing that now with all the, they'll do videos, and while buyers are too busy, they'll just walk through the newest listings and take videos of them. And people do. You're right. The business, and that's the nice thing is if you can embrace the technology. But again, the problem with that is there's so much technology out there, so many little, widgets out there that it overwhelms agents and gets them away from the core things that actually get them paid. They spend a lot of time trying to build their systems. It used to be, Monica, they'd build their teams, right? And now they're trying to build their social networking and all this. And all that stuff is important, but it has to come after you've focused your energies on the primary things that get you paid.
Absolutely.
So, guys, I'm going to jump into some of these questions. And, Monica, Julie, do you have some ready?
Well, I see lots of Monica groupies here. A lot of people saying hello to you, Monica. Lana in Orlando. Kim in Las Vegas, Bob and Tony, your friends in Temecula. Yes, I have a hello from Mel in Detroit.
Great.
And, yes, lots of people who know and love you, so
they're great.
wanted
That's
to let you know about them.
Nice.
Definitely. And Lana, as well as several others, Lana is in Orlando, and she has a specific question about following a deliberate schedule. I've seen a lot of varieties, kind of the same spin. Is it actually possible to only spend 1 hour on admin work and still do a lot of transactions?
Absolutely. I spend an hour or less, but the challenge would be, do you have a good admin person who takes up what you need to have done? I refuse to touch a file. I don't do that kind of stuff. I do admin work by touching base with everyone, as far as what's going on with the escrows. We have great systems on our listing, so every Friday I've got a short sale report, I've got a listing report, I've got a closing report. They're very detailed. It takes me like 5 minutes to read each one, and, I've been debriefed on the whole thing. So the basic line is, who are you delegating to? And if not, get someone that you can and trust and train them up.
Absolutely. So, again, her suggestion, which I think is a great idea, is to hire an assistant at the start, and maybe, here's another thought for you, split the fee of the assistant. Maybe it could be a virtual assistant. Maybe it could be somebody that returns phone calls. Maybe it could be somebody that helps you do your BPOs. I'm getting more and more emails, guys, just from a side note, and I'm checking all these out from people, from agents, frankly, who've decided that they want to work as virtual assistants for other agents doing BPOs. I had one yesterday where they said they'll do the core part of the BPO for $18. So there's lots of ways to go about using your time. But if it's all for naught, if you're thinking that basically you'll delegate everything and then you'll just sit on the beach all day, right? That's not going to work. The idea, the purpose, the goal is that you're going to delegate the stuff that doesn't get you paid directly so you can spend more time working with buyers and sellers. That's really the point of delegating. The point of delegating isn't so that you can be lazy. The point of delegating is so you can make more money. Julie, how about some questions? What's this, Desira? Desira from Santa Ana. So we should read it, make Monica feel good. Hi, Monica. Thank you. You are the best of the best. Can you tell us one book you remember that made a big change on who you are today?
Oh, that's such a hard one because I read so many. I like the Jack Welch books. I like Good to Great. I like all the little Victor Hansen, the other guy, Jack Canton or whatever his name is. He does some great books. I like Brian Tracy books. I like any short, easy business books. I love the fish book. There's just so many great little business books. There's just not one book that changed my life.
What about the books specifically? What are the things in the books that you like? What is it, the rerecurring themes that you see? That
it's all about efficiency. It's about time management. It's about getting the best out of people. It's about how to have a quality life. It's just good, common business sense that you read and you go, I know that. Why aren't I doing that? Or that's a great idea. I never thought of it like that. I just like those kind of quick, easy reads.
We've got a lot of interesting questions. I'm going to just sort of summarize these the best I can. So would you say that there's a prototypical top-producing agent? Like you could say, well, this is how they are, this is how they dress, this is how they talk, this is how they – is there like almost like a boilerplate top-producing agent? Or can somebody really – are there ways to be top producers, different ways? You understand the question?
I do, and it goes back to what I've said before. They're master delegators, and they're extremely skillful. And they're very, very confident. They're overconfident. They understand the market. They understand how to sell. They understand how to close deals. They're great leaders, in their marketplace. They're leaders in their office. And those are the qualities.
So Marlene from Punta Gorda, she asked about objections and how to overcome different objections. Marlene, I'm pretty sure you're a Harris Willow State University student, and you get all of those as part of whatever coaching program you're involved in. So if you're in the short sale class, we've already written out all the objections you're going to hear with all the questions and all the answers. So same goes with all the different classes. So Eric Reed from Atlanta, Georgia, wants to know specifically about the size of the team and what is the team structure and how many active listings, pendings, and closed units. So I guess he's asking specifically about where you're working now.
Well, where I work now is we did about almost $3 million last year in production. We did about 155 closed deals. This year we've done over 55 closed deals so far. We have a goal to do 200, so we're getting there. My goal every month is to take 20 listings. And our goal every month is to sell 15 to 20 homes. And we have a listing coordinator, closing coordinator, and they each have an assistant. We have a big team because what we do is, we have a big team. We have 7 buyer agents right now. We just used to have 2, and we've just added these 5. So who knows where our totals will go once I get these guys trained up. And then we have a short sale manager, and we have a receptionist, and that's pretty much our team.
Someone asked, so after they have found a really good admin, and let's say they're hitting around that 25 or 30 units, they're doing well, cash is flowing consistently, who should they add next to their staff, in your opinion?
Well, if you got an admin person, next one you want to add is a buyer agent.
Okay, perfect. Makes sense. All right, so Julie, any other questions that popped up?
I'm going through them right now, just lots of hellos, questions, team questions. I think people still have this hang up about, I can't afford an assistant, and I loved what you said about hiring an intern maybe as your first assistant experience.
Sure, absolutely. And, you can also think outside the box, who can I delegate this to that's not going to cost me money? Who could look up numbers for me? Maybe your big office, Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, whatever, receptionist, maybe she'll do some moonlighting for you after work for $10 an hour, or slip her $25 and say, can you look up these numbers? Can you put this in my database for me on Saturday? Scrounge together a few bucks, even if it's like you say, $100 a week or $200 this month. I'm going to delegate. I'm going to hire someone to put my database together. Delegate things that are going to take you away from going on an appointment, finding an appointment, writing a contract, prospecting. Those are things that make the world go around.
A real practical question. You mentioned open houses. Leanna wants to know, where do you post your notices about your open houses? What have you guys found to be
They're everywhere, from Craigslist to all the different local things that we have in San Diego. So there's about 4 or 5 different places that we post, and it goes up on MLS also. So we got you just look in your marketplace, you'd be surprised where you can post those things.
And by the way, guys, I believe the name of the company is postit.com, postit.com. Zillow bought them, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we put them on Zillow. Yeah, correct.
Right.
Okay.
So, postit.com is a website, Monica, that will go about posting information on a number of different sites, Craigslist is being one of them.
Perfect. What's the charge for that?
I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some nominal charge, but again, guys, go to realestateinsidernews.com, realestateinsidernews.com, and it was a story earlier this week. I think it was Monday or Tuesday, and I know it was basically Zillow announcing that they'd bought this company, and I went to the website, checked it out, and thought it was a really fantastic, obviously tool for all of you guys to know about. Yeah,
that's wonderful.
All right. So, Monica, listen, I really appreciate your time today.
Great. It was fun.
You're somebody. What words of advice, if you could, you're reaching out now to potentially thousands of different agents as they listen to this call and replay. if there's one thought that you'd like to leave all these agents with, if there's one prevailing something that you would like to give them, what would it be? What would you like to say to these guys?
Have a good time in real estate. Don't take it seriously. The other thought I always like to say is smile, dial, make a pile. The phone's your cash register. Just have a great time. Real estate's the most unbelievable great career. You can make so much money. You can have so much free time. You can have a quality life. Just have a great time. Enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do well at it.
And it doesn't matter what the market is. It doesn't matter if it's going up or down. The rules are still the same. So
have fun. I love it.
That's right. We do, too. So, Monica, listen, we really appreciate you being our superstar this week.
Great.
I really appreciate you being out there. I think a lot of people are going to, based on the questions, a lot of people are really listening, really learning. Monica, do you want people contacting you directly? Or
they could just shoot me an email at Monica@Heller, Heller, thehomeseller.com. It's Chris Heller's website. HellerTheHomeseller.com. Any referrals to San Diego, I'll take them.
Exactly. I was about to say that for you.
Yeah.
Well, not just San Diego now. It seems like a little bit outside of San Diego as well.
Well, it's San Diego County, like Escondido, Alpine. That's all San Diego County. It's huge.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so Monica, thank you very much. Everyone, thank you for attending today. If you have any questions for me directly, obviously email me at tim@harrisrealestateuniversity.com. Stay connected with Harris Real Estate University through our blog, realestateinsidernews.com, realestateinsidernews.com. Miss Monica Reynolds, thank you sincerely for being this week's Harris Real Estate University Superstar, and thank you for all of you for joining us for today's Superstar interview.
Thanks for making it fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.